Previously on Final Fantasy XIII-2, we had a very straightforward plot element about yelling at a guy in the past to change something in the present, and we couldn't even get that right.
I don't know what you're talking about. We yelled at Hope in the past so that Adam would no longer exist in the future, so that he would disappear in the present.
Well, I'll give that synopsis this. You did use the words past, future, and present in it.
But hey, now that we have destroyed Adam by convincing Hope not to make him, Academia is a much more lively place.
Yeah, it's the only environment in Final Fantasy XIII-2 that I actually like on a, entirely aesthetic level. It's original.
Like, honestly, I think 400 looks better just with, like, the nighttime scene in the rain, but this one doesn't have Seath spawning every 5 seconds, so it gets points for that.
This is the only environment in the entire game that kind of feels on any meaningful level like something that wasn't just cut from Final Fantasy XIII and reused here to save money.
Also, Hope, why are you in the year 400? What the fuck is going on?
That's an astoundingly good question. Although I guess it would make... It could be worse. He could be doing this shit backwards through time. Ugh. Why did she have to be here?
Because she and Hope are unfortunately joined at the hip.
Yeah, Hope was so close to not getting on my nerves in this game.
Yeah, like, Hope himself is a really good character in this game, but he's attached to Alyssa, and Alyssa is terrible.
Irony of ironies. They actually succeeded at fixing Hope, and yet they still fucked it up terribly.
So yeah, now we have access to pretty much everywhere on this giant-ass map. So before we go visit Hope, let's go have a look around, see what's changed.
Let's go travelating. What are we waiting for? Come on! Don't do this to me.
Well, I'm actually looking for something specific, but I don't remember exactly where it is. So we'll be wondering for a second or two here. But
and that N7 outfit looks really dumb on Sarah.
Yeah, it looks okay on Noel, not so much here.
It's like there's a certain animation set that kind of seems true to a character who's wearing a full suit of battle armor, and Sarah's are not it. I mean, Noel's are only barely it, but... yeah.
I mean, to be frank, the N7 armor does not fit in 13.2 at all to begin with, so...
yeah, they've taken a Western thing and stuck it on a JRPG character, and we wonder why it's maybe seeming a bit dissonant. Oh well.
That's nice, buddy. Hope you work things out with your wife.
Yeah, cool. To be fair, this place is kind of the game's side quest central, although not to as exclusive a degree as Grand Pulse was in 13. It's just a bunch of the really bullshit ones are here.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, yeah, this place is filled with bullshit side quests. Which is incidentally the thing that I'm actually trying to find, although I'm going the entirely wrong way at this point.
As I recall, this is a place with the guy who wants you to fill in the entire bestiary for him.
Well, that's just one of the things that are here.
Oh yeah. Like I said, that's the beginning.
I say, what I am actually looking for is a trivia board.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so, this Academia... yeah, so 4XX has a whole bunch of these little terminals scattered around. And they ask you trivia questions, and then if you answer them all correctly, you get fragments for it. Now, you might think that this is not too hard. I mean, there's a lot of flavor information, but as long as you read the data log and everything, you should be good to go, right? Right, well, there's one right there, and we'll let you guys see for yourself.
Yeah, this is something else. This. Fortunately, you get as many tries as you need. You just have to get all the questions right in one go.
Your entry has been accepted. Answer all questions
Smog, what are you...
and receive a fabulous prize. Bend your mind to the task.
For real, what is Mog doing?
I don't know.
Here is your first question.
Alright, so yeah, what the fuck is this?
I would think all of those are coarse except Moogle's stomach.
This concludes our quiz. Unfortunately, you did not obtain a perfect score.
So yeah, that's the thing. The quiz is full of bullshit questions like that, where there is literally no way you could possibly know the answer beforehand.
I think, like, there are a bunch of, like, not even story data logs, but like fragment information stuff that contains all this information, but it's really obscure, even by obscure trivia standards. Of course, any attempt by me to justify any of those quiz questions goes entirely out the window when you get this one particular question. Do you remember the one particular question?
I do not. I will be the first to admit I never finished that particular quest.
I will tell you about this then. One of the questions simply states true or false, and your answers are true or false.
Oh, yes, I remember this. Holy shit.
Yeah, and you just pick one. And there's two variations of it. There's one where true and false are on, like, are on Y and A, and there's one where they're on X and B. And on one of those the answer is always true, and in the other one the answer is always false. And it's just the most incredible, magnificent bullshit.
That guy keeps looking over here. He hasn't done anything yet, but it's creepy nonetheless.
So yeah, welcome to quiz game design by the makers of Final Fantasy XIII-2.
And that's before we even start talking about the Amidar hologram that's around here somewhere.
Oh, fuck my life.
Yeah, there's also a hologram of Amidar, and he just kind of randomly appears throughout the city, and the only clue you have as to where he is, like, the children will be like, "Oh, I saw him over here!"
Yeah. It's kind of telling that they couldn't design an interesting location without also finding a way to make the thing that makes a location interesting actively into an impediment. It's pretty incredible, really.
Unfortunately, we are impeded by this waist-high desk. So...
Yeah, I love that they actually put, like, jumping physics in a JRPG and yet you're still impeded by desks and picket fences. Also, wow, a lot of people gathered around and then just stayed entirely where they were when Mog went away.
Yup. People really get excited about Mog, and then forget about him the second he disappears.
So, this sure is a place.
Yeah!
Hope told us that he invented a machine called a time
So,
capsule.
Hope can travel through time, but not in the same way that we can.
Back in 13
Yeah,
AF,
it's
Hope
not
devised a plan to build an
really
artificial
like
sun
he's
system
travelling through
that was
time,
called
really.
Project.
I mean, that's a very generous interpretation.
But then one day,
Yeah,
Hope saw a
as
certain prophecy in
Alyssa
the
explains it a little bit later on, but they very much took a one-way trip through time.
They built a freezer. That's what they did.
Well, I was getting pretty ticked off by that point.
Well, exactly. So we were forced to reevaluate the project, and eventually...
So, if changing the future changes the past, can changing the past also still change the future? Because that's the only way this makes sense. But if that's what happens, then what's the point of having changing the future change the past? Because that would just mean that changing the future changes the future.
If the proto-Fal'Cie had managed to get control of Cocoon, it would have made
Well,
itself the second Eden,
that
and we'd be back
seems
in the game.
more straightforward by way of making it more convoluted.
Just like how it was on the old Cocoon. We realized we couldn't let that
I'm
happen.
sorry, I'm doing that thing again where I
Human technology.
take this game's
Right.
plot
Not
seriously.
to mention that if you had kept with the original plan, your machines would have killed you. Really?
That's a nice thing to drop. Oh, and by the way, if you had kept up with that whole Fal'Cie thing, you would have been assassinated. You know, just throwing that out there.
I don't know, it's an entirely fair point. It was a really fucking dumb idea. I mean, am I wrong?
Alyssa and I decided to come to the future to observe the 13th arc, the structure that appears
Another
in the sky
arc.
of this time period.
Oh, good.
That thing that's floating
We didn't get enough of those in the first game.
Yes. In the end, we abandoned the idea of restoring the old Cocoon.
I find it difficult to take him seriously with all the shit floating around behind him in the background.
But Fadul, this is a big technological area. How can we show that if we don't have all these weird floaty bits and, you know, holograms and that in the background?
Sure is. And that's why you're here.
It's a fair point.
The arc afloat.
There is absolutely no such thing as an astoundingly interesting place with a somewhat boring facade.
We had to come and see it for ourselves.
Oh well.
Alright, so yeah, that's why they're here. They saw the 13th arc in the Oracle Drive, and they were like, yo, let's go there. So they built a freezer and put themselves into cryogenic sleep until then.
Kinda.
And then what?
You heard about the time capsule we used?
I mean,
It's a device that slows down time only for
they
its occupants.
they decided they were going to jump like 400 years into the future, and then they did that, and then they woke up, and then they were like, well, I guess we're 400 years in the future.
Slept as the outside
I still have no idea what this thing is, but I guess we'll just
This capsule
set up shop here.
can't take you back, can it?
Well, you see, here in 4XX,
and consider
Hope is like the fucking science pope or something, because he's pretty much in charge of the entire academy now.
you risked your own life at the
So,
Cocoon.
you know, I guess being a time traveler does have its perks, I suppose.
Hey, Sarah,
Well, I guess it can't be much worse than the last Pope.
I think I understand how you must feel.
That guy was kind of a dick.
The Academy has welcomed us with open arms, and we can research as we
Yeah, but he
always
had a much better voice than Hope does.
Oh yeah, for real. He was much more entertaining.
get these terrible
And he had a couple of nifty boss fights.
Alyssa,
But,
please, Sarah, you have to let me apologize
Yeah.
for the way I treated you in the past.
also I forget, how
Maybe
did she
you can forgive
treat
me.
us in the past?
I hope as fellow time travelers.
I
we can
didn't
face
think it
the
was
consequences.
particularly, like, notable in any one way.
Like, she was just kind of like there and asked us to look into a thing.
And then we did, and then she was like, oh, I feel like I'm dying, and then she didn't.
Into the 13th arc. At this stage, there is
Yeah.
good and there is bad.
I think it's entirely possible that the writers might have been just straight up forgotten about how much the player is supposed to know at this point.
Oh lord, here we go.
Oh boy, that's a trauma word.
Yeah, so it turns out the 13th arc is being held up by a thing called a graviton core. And it is just a thing that emits anti-gravity waves or some bullshit, and it keeps things afloat, right? So Hope wants us to use those graviton cores to float the new Cocoon. But there's a problem. We don't know where they are. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an honest-to-God, bona fide fetch quest. The game has come to a screeching halt until we find 5 graviton cores.
And to be fair, there are 7. I say fair.
Yeah, small mercies. You don't have to find all of them, just most of them.
Oh yeah, and it says obtain information. Like, what information is there to obtain?
Well, if we talk to the receptionist out here, she'll tell us where they are, or at least where they are in time. Finding them is up to us.
You're helping us find the graviton cores.
Huh.
Isn't that right?
Well, I guess the time zones are
Got an update with the latest
like, separate enough that you can figure out at least which one to go to, although I guess, yeah, you still would have to find the bloody things within the map.
But according to this latest data, our scientists use resonance imaging to identify a
And
possible deposit.
does it not seem a bit weird that they don't persist between multiple places in different time periods?
It's just what?
I mean, you would think, but...
It's kind of in a different time.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, no. There is an even dumber explanation than that. But it's on the data logs for the graviton cores themselves, so we'll see that in the next update or two.
Oh, of course it is. Huh. Well, you know, now I think about it, yeah, it does give you a picture. That could be a lot worse, actually. I forgot about this detail. Of course, not everyone would think to pay attention to the picture that comes up in the giant screen-filling dialogue that so far the game has been training you to just skip through.
We changed the future,
But
it still needs our help.
it's there.
I bet we can find that.
Yeah, like, to its credit, the picture actually shows you, like, directly where it is if you can get there.
Maybe that's why we've been brought here.
Yeah. Doesn't make it any less tedium to just go and actually track down the 5 that you need, although, you know, there's no way around the fact that, nope, the game is giving you a big honking 5-part fucking fetch quest. So hey, remember any shred of goodwill you might have had towards this game? Wasn't that fun?